Happy June 12th, everyone. Welcome to our weekly practice. This week we're talking about the father wound, which is kind of a different way of saying daddy issues. Just the term daddy issues definitely comes with a lot of baggage in the connotation and a lot of negativity. And it also seems to limit people who are identified as male from using that term just because it's traditionally considered something female, but father wound is something that everyone can have because everyone has a father. So I wanted to talk about it today and start looking at the different ways that it impacts our lives and some of the things that some of us may have experienced in childhood and how they would play out later in life. Next week, we'll do the mother wound, which is the counterpart. And this doesn't always have to apply directly to a father or a mother. It's really more of an energetic role. If you've listened to my recording on Mars, through the signs of astrology, we talk about masculine energy versus feminine energy. And I'm recording my Venus through the signs piece and should have it out in the next couple weeks. But that'll look at the contrast of feminine to masculine energy. And I like to point out, and I want to reiterate here, that masculine and feminine energy are not limited to people with what are traditionally considered boy parts and girl parts. All humans have masculine and feminine energy. And I know some people would prefer if we stopped using the terms masculine and feminine because they've built up such a strong sort of subconscious understanding of what those terms are. But I actually do believe that masculine and feminine energy, the concepts go deeper than all the prejudices that we've developed about these terms, and that it's important to take the words back so that we can use them, because I do believe even if we were to stop using the terms masculine and feminine, we would just reassign the negative connotations that we haven't dealt with to whichever new words we choose. So I think it's probably better to figure out what the words really mean instead of trying to find new words and just continuing to do the same mistake we've been doing all along. So I do like to explain to people that masculine energy and feminine energy are quite simple. They're not about activities that we do like girly things, boy things, boily things. Boy, they're a natural energetic drive that exists in all of us, and the two energies have to work together in order for things to be balanced. So what we often experience in society is a disbalance between the two, where either people are too attached to masculine energy and don't allow the feminine energy to come in, or they're too attached to the feminine energy and don't allow the masculine energy to come in. So just to get down to it, the masculine energy is the natural ambition or drive to set oneself apart, to move forward, or to move up. It's found in everything. It's what causes seeds to burst forth from the ground. It's what causes water to move forward. It's that natural motion to set something apart and move in a new direction. Because of that, it's also what I call a hierarchical energy, in the sense that it's always trying to get to the next level. It's also related to that binary in the sense that you either are or you aren't something. So in a masculine energy, you either, are on the first floor or you're on the second floor. There's no gray. And when we start balancing that out with the feminine energy is the connective energy or the cyclical energy that is in between everything. When I say masculine energy is the energy to drive the seed up from the ground, the feminine energy is the process that causes that to happen. So the connection from the seed sprouting and the roots going down and the seeds sending up a stem and then leaves and then bloom. So the two work together, but we often deny the interconnected energy or the feminine energy of all things and get so caught in the masculine energy that we just think everything is about moving forward or moving up. And when we start touching into that feminine energy, we get a better awareness of the gray instead of the black and white that is predominant in masculine energy, but also just to point out that it's not to say masculine or feminine energy is negative or positive. It's just that there's a definite need for balance in order to function properly. Relating that to the father wound, something we need to consider is that we all do need to have that representation of that masculine energy in our lives. If your father figure or the person that was playing that role, which can also be a mother, wasn't representing that energy very well for you, you might have a hard time experiencing it or expressing it in yourself. So just to give you an idea before we go into our journal questions, types of fathers that a lot of people experience that can impact how you experience your masculine energy. There's a little list here. So obviously the one we all want is just called what we'd say the good father. So that would be someone who's responsive, aware of your needs, able to express their own needs clearly, but existing in such a way that there's a balance between what you need and what they need, and yet they're providing some guidance and leadership in your life that is with the empathy that is required for your existence. That would be generally what we all want. The next is the absent father. So anyone who felt like their father wasn't there, didn't hear their existence, wasn't aware of their achievements or self-expression, or wasn't acknowledging that they existed as a child, would possibly feel the father wound around that. Next is the passive father. This may be someone who doesn't honor their own masculine energy enough, so they allow too many things to happen, whether they're good or bad, in your life. They don't provide that sort of protective nature that's associated with that energy. They're just too allowing, to the point that maybe it feels like they weren't even there, or they weren't playing the role that you were expecting them to play. The demanding father would be someone who has hyperdominance of expectation for what they want and maybe a lack of awareness for what you want. Someone who would come down hard on you if you weren't going in the direction they believed you should go. There's also the abusive father, which is obviously anyone who actively tries to hurt you mentally, physically, or emotionally. And obviously that's clear violation and overuse of masculine energy without any balance, which would cause long-lasting fear or a lack of ability to use your own masculine energy because that energy was used so aggressively against you. And then the performance-orientated father is similar to the demanding father, where you're only worth something if you're achieving what they believe should be achieved. And that would again be another over-focus on the masculine energy because of that hierarchical nature of the masculine energy of setting oneself apart and climbing the ladder. So a performance-orientated father would probably have a little bit too much drive in that direction without an awareness of the balance of also needing to listen to your own needs. So that's just a quick overlay of the different types of fathers some people experience. And we'll move into the journal questions. Remember, these are good for writing down, but you can also just meditate on them. And I will write them at the bottom in case you want to read them again when you're writing out your answers. So the first journal question is, what role has your father played in your life? What role do you wish he had played? How would your life be different if he had been this way? Are there any characteristics of your father in you? And do you feel positively or negatively towards these characteristics? And for our shadow practice today, we are doing talking to a chair. I found this from soulshepherding.org. I'll put the link at the bottom. It is a Christian site. I'm just warning you, I'm non-denominational, and I do think there's a benefit from taking from anyone's practice and becoming aware of different methods. But I know for some people, certain faiths can be triggering for your own histories. So I will explain the practice here, but just to let you know, if you want to look at the website, they have some other questions for asking yourself and ideas. They do take a bigger focus on having other people around you when you do this practice. One of my favorite things about shadow practice is that you can do it on your own and that you don't need to have someone paid to be with you or get a lot of people involved if you just want to work on your own thing. But obviously, if you feel like it would be more beneficial to have someone support you while you're doing this activity, I think that's absolutely wonderful. And you need to listen to yourself for what's best for you. So with the talking to a chair practice, we are simply going to put an empty chair in front of us and sit in our own chair. We're going to take the time to have our conversation with our Father, saying whatever we need to say to him, or our father figure, I should say. We're going to take the time to have our conversation with our father or our father figure or that masculine person in our life, looking at your journal questions, stating to him or her, if the person who played the masculine role was a female figure, you're going to tell them what you needed from them, how they disappointed you, and what you wish could have happened. So take a few minutes for that activity. Take longer. If you need to shout, this is your opportunity to shout. Feel free to rant. Try not to edit yourself or limit yourself because this person isn't here. And this is one of those times when you can say absolutely anything you need to, and no one is limiting you and holding you back except yourself. So moving into that feeling of discomfort or fear at speaking your mind, this is a great practice for being your own authority and being your own advocate in a difficult situation. So feel free to speak your mind completely. And once you feel like you have had a chance to get all of that out, you can come back to our grounding exercise. So we're going to practice a pranayama, which is just the Sanskrit word for a breathing exercise, for our final grounding. You're going to find yourself seated, standing, or lying, whichever works best for you. Take one deep breath to release all that energy out. And we're going to do 5 count breath. This is a good concentration exercise to return ourselves to our body. If the count is too high for you, if it's too hard to maintain your breath for that long, you can always do a 3 count breath. Listen to your body. Do what you need to do. But the point is that it should be a consistent number for all 4 parts. So on the inhale, inhaling for 5. Holding for 5. Exhaling for 5. Holding for 5. Again, inhaling for 5. Holding for 5. Exhale for 5. Holding for 5. You get the idea. And you can set a timer and practice doing your 5 count breath around the inhale, hold, exhale, hold. And hopefully that helped you return back to your body. Next week, we'll visit the mother wound. And I hope everyone has a good week.